Hey there, rulers. DMO73 here, bringing you the deck profile for Tyler Tompkin's Alex Cthulhu build. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to pre-order upcoming Force of Will sets, ccgprime.com for singles and supplies, cardodoko.com for those rulers in the international market looking for product, the Ruler School Circuit Series now taking orders on our Q4 2024 circuit kits, and our guest lecturer members, Fight Ramen. Class is in session. So here is the list. As always, you can check it out in the link in the description to go right to it on Force of Wind, import it to your deck lists, and then goof around with it. So we have Alex, the ruler with when you're playing the Cthulhu version, the coin means nothing. Super fun because the coin is for energized white, and really there's nothing in this deck that is base white. Mainly it can be useful to use the inheritance ability of Bastet, especially once you get out Trail of Black Fire, so that you only have to pay 1 to use the inheritance effect. It kind of works out, but mainly Alex kind of wants to be going first. So playing 4 copies of Heroic Spirit of the World's Free Yggdrasil, primarily because this helps us search out one of the 4 copies of Green Jade Amulet, which we need to be able to do Judgment, and it produces a will for Green Jade Amulet, which means that when you're Judgmenting on turn 3 because of the extra stones, you usually are sitting on your turn 4 being at like 5 or 6 extra will, which is a lot to be able to protect Th'Ahmh and do kind of sequencing stuff, which is pretty neat. Some other will efficiency pieces this deck is playing also Umir At to will, so it can pitch it to produce for Cthulhu cards, which is a lot of this deck. You have all kinds of cool stuff with playing Yogg-Sothoth so that you have swiftness right away, because you want to have something right out the gate that lets you tap Th'Ahmh right away the turn you flip it, if at all possible, so that your opponent then has to crash into it and you set yourself up for being able to just do some really heavy hitting the next turn. Usually the idea is flip Th'Ahmh, kill your opponent on the following turn. So some neat stuff here. We have Th'Ahmm's Pack of Hounds, which works really nicely to kind of cycle, as well as force your opponent to lose a lot of life. Imagine if you have a couple copies of this on the field, you flip over Th'Ahmh, and then you use Th'Ahmh for Maddening Barks, right? So then your opponent has 5 cards in their hand, they RFG all 5 of them, they draw 3, suddenly they've lost 1800 life because of the Th'Ahmm's Pack of Hounds. These then get to cycle into things of a very old school card, Hounds of Tindalos, which got its nice little promo reprint, which then lets you, when this dies, you can pay a 1 red and search it for your search your deck for a copy of Th'Ahmm's Pack of Hounds, because it has the ability Hounds of Tindalos as long as your Cthulhu ruler is flipped. So it's really nice to kind of keep the Th'Ahmhs, kind of keep the Hounds keep coming, so that you kind of chip your opponent down to the lethal that way as well. Because we're doing some discard shenanigans, we're also playing High Speed Uppercut, very good card. Same with, as you're seeing here, Lucifer defeated One Wing for some additional reach and life loss, and Life Zapper Chrono Gears. The Lucifers are also really good in the early turns before you flip Alex, because they'll immediately have access to protect. So then you can, your opponent is attempting to go to combat, you flash in a Lucifer in response to going to combat, they go to swing, you can protect with the Lucifer, forcing them to discard a card when it dies. You can do a lot of really nasty things that way. And then a couple copies of Trail of Black Fire, just so you have 1 in deck to be able to grab. And then also serves as a nice way to do board wipes. And then lastly, a couple copies of Angled Fires of Tindalos, just because it works really well to get a body on board, since this guy's going to have Protect and be pretty huge right off the bat. Extra copies of him that are made by duplicating him won't have Protect, but you do get to do some pretty nice stuff there. And again, once you have something like Th'Ahmm's Trail of Black Fire, the more of these you have on the field, the more your opponent is going to take as in terms of their damage to their things whenever they try to swing, which then ultimately helps you protect Th'Ahmh. So they have to swing at Th'Ahmh, but whenever they attack, they take damage equal to the number of limit counters you have, but you've got 3 of these guys with all 7 limit counters on them, so then that just gets burned to death as they try to rush in towards Th'Ahmh, and you just kind of wait and see, and then you kill them. Some biggest weaknesses of the deck, obviously, is like straight burn or damage, or swarm decks can be a problem against Th'Ahmh if you can't get Trail out, simply because they're going to be able to remove all your limit counters from it. Some ways to be able to help with that is cards like Walletair can be really useful. The sideboard here, you don't really need to worry about it too much. It's more geared towards just our specific locals. So lots of flexibility options there. Also really cool things with Hydria. You know, you can use a Hydria God's Art and then do Thir'Ahmh's pack of and then use Maddening Barks to make them RFG all the cards, but then they only get to draw one. So it's pretty nice to do that stuff like that there too. And then of course Focuses are just really helpful and in color, so you can do some neat stuff there as well. So that is the deck. Let us know what you guys have been toying around with Alex in the comment sections down below. Thanks to Tyler for playing it on the channel, and until next time, this is GMO73 saying class dismissed.